Friday was a disaster, optically, in the White House. But you must have sat there watching, thinking, I've had worse blow-ups of President Trump, and the next minute he's on the phone telling me I'm welcome to play golf.
All right, folks, today we're diving into Piers Morgan's take on the astonishing Trump-Zelensky meeting. Now, if you've been following the drama, you know this was one of those moments where the media lost their minds, but Piers, he kept his cool and dropped some serious truth bombs. We're going to break down his insights, call out the overreactions, and see why Trump's approach to peace might just be the game changer everyone's ignoring. Let's get into it.
Well, he was actually on the phone that morning.
Yeah. So did you wind him up so much on Friday morning?
I was trying to think what I said. I mean, it was quite funny. I was in a black cab in London. And my phone going, and I could see I have him under DJT. In my
DJT?
DJT. And it was flashing up. I thought, should I take it in a cab? It was like, I thought, we can't not take a call from the president. So Mr. President, I'm just looking at the cab driver's eyes like that. And we spoke for about 15 minutes.
Do you have him on speaker in the cab?
No.
OK.
But obviously I was talking in a way that was giving a few clues. At the end, the cab driver said, Piers, I don't want to pry, mate. He said, but was that Donald Trump? I said, actually it was. And he said, God, he said, I've been driving cabs a long time. I said, I've never had anyone talking to the President of the United States in back of my cab before. So it's quite funny. But anyway, Trump was in a very good, upbeat mood. I had a long chat with him about a number of things. I've talked about Ukraine with him a number of times. And the one thing I think is always important with Donald Trump, and you put your finger on it, I've had screaming matches with him, literally. And then an hour later, we're laughing and joking, doing a fun interview. Literally, I had that two and a half years ago. So I always think with him, focus on what he does, not what he says, or the general drama and chaos. And secondly, understand that this is almost uniquely in modern times a Republican president in America who wants peace, not war. I mean, he hasn't, in his first term, declared war anywhere. He wants to end the two wars that are raging right now in Ukraine and Israel.
Okay, let's stop right here. Piers is absolutely spot on with this. How refreshing is it to hear someone actually acknowledge that Trump is a peacemaker? I mean, think about it. When was the last time we had a president who didn't start a new war or escalate an existing one? Obama? Bush? Nope. Trump's the guy who actually pulled us out of endless wars, and yet the left still paints him as some kind of warmonger. It's ridiculous. And Piers is right. Trump's focus on ending the conflicts in Ukraine and Israel is exactly what we need. But of course, the media would rather freak out over a little squabbling at a press conference than give credit where it's due.
And I think, although it was all very unedifying, although it shouldn't have happened, if you actually watch the whole press conference with Zelensky, and I interviewed Zelensky 2 weeks ago and had a long chat with him, so I got where his mindset was on this. If you watch the whole thing, you're actually getting to the nub of where this peace deal is likely to end up. And that's, to me, a bit of squabbling in front of the cameras shouldn't have happened. But let's not overreact. Focus on the big picture, which is how do we get to peace?
You were straight out on Twitter in the minutes after that interview, when everybody else was saying it's a disaster. You came out and said, no, there's going to be a deal. Was that because you just knew that's what Trump is about? Or was it something he'd said to you in that phone call on the Friday which made you think, don't overinterpret this bust-up?
I think a bit of all of that. I mean, I think that I had a chat with him just before the inauguration. We had a long chat on the phone, and he talked about Ukraine specifically in that. The Pentagon had said to him that in the previous 6 weeks, 100,000 people had been killed on the battlefield, Ukraine and Russia side. And he said, can you believe the numbers? This is like First World War. You know, this is like the worst imaginable kind of killing going on. He said, we have to end this. So I genuinely do think he wants peace. Now, what's he doing with Putin? Again, it's very interesting. I found an old clip. Someone tweeted it to me yesterday. Bill Clinton, who I interviewed about 10 years ago, talking about when he dealt with Vladimir Putin. And he said that the way he used to deal with him was in public, respectful, don't attack him, don't criticize him too much. Behind the scenes, get very tough. And he said, when we reach points of agreement, interestingly, he said, Putin never went back on his word to me. Now, when you listen to what Trump says, he's saying all the time, Vladimir hasn't done this to me, right? So it's very personal for him. The interaction with Russian leader, American leader for Trump is personal. He's betting the bank, I think, in this peace deal, that when it comes to it, the minerals deal, which I think is really smart, because it gets Trump's MAGA base off his back, right? He can say, look, it's not costing us money. In fact, we're making money. So don't worry about that. And he thinks by having a lot of Americans mining for minerals in Ukraine on a permanent basis, Vladimir Putin will not attack Ukraine. Zelensky, I think, is concerned that's fine while Donald Trump is in charge. What happens after that?
Yeah.
And I think that is where they've got to, which is what are the security guarantees? And my only advice for President Zelensky, who I think is an absolute hero, and I've interviewed him several times, and I think the guy and his country are amazing, and no one will bow to no one in my admiration. But the thing about President Zelensky in that moment was he just took the bait a bit, especially from J.D. Vance. And my advice before would have been to him, stay calm, be very grateful.
Hold up. Let's talk about this for a second. First off, props to Piers for giving Zelensky the respect he deserves. The guy's been through hell, and he's fighting for his country's survival. But here's the thing. Zelensky did take the bait during that press conference, especially from J.D. Vance, and Piers is right to call that out. Zelensky's got to remember that he's dealing with Trump, who's not your typical politician. Trump's playing the long game here, trying to secure a peace deal that actually works for everyone.
Remember that a lot of the base conservative MAGA movement do not like the amount of money that's being spent in Ukraine because they want it spent on domestic issues in America.
That J.D. Vance point is, though, really interesting, because in the first term, I don't remember Donald Trump ever being in the room and kind of deferring a bit.
This is a man on a mission for his legacy. And I think you have to, again, contextualize Trump with that in mind. But ultimately, does Trump want peace? Yes. Is that a good thing? Yes. Can we help him in Europe to get there by showing that we're stepping up collectively in the way that I think Starmer and Macron are leading the way? Yes. So, fingers crossed. Okay. I think in a few weeks, it could look very different.
So there you have it. Piers Morgan cutting through the noise and giving us a clear-eyed take on the Trump-Zelensky meeting. Love him or hate him, you've got to admit, Piers knows how to see the bigger picture. And the media, well, they're just doing what they do best, overreacting. But hey, that's why we're here, to call out the nonsense and keep it real. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more unfiltered commentary. See you in the next one.